In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this handy platform stand that has got an amazing amount of uses. Well, what material was required for this project is very simple. Once again, I've taken one piece of wood here. It's a piece of plank basically. It is pine wood that I've used this time, but you can use whatever type of wood that pleases you or that you like. This is about ruler length, is about 30 centimeters more or less, and what's that, about 12 inches. And then all I did was I took a piece of wood like that and I cut it into pieces, a longer piece and 2 foot pieces basically. Now the 2 foot pieces is about 1.5 inches in height, and then the rest of the plank that's left is basically the rest would be the top of this table. And after this, all would be done is the 2 feet would be put like that. This would be put on top like this. If we turn it sideways, that would be the effect. And then this would obviously be glued together, the edges rounded over very nicely, and together with the glue I'll put in some either dowels between the two or a self-tapping screw from the top through the bottom into the foot pieces. Then after that is done, like I said, I'm going to round over the edges. You can do a round over, you can do it a bit of an angle, whichever pattern you like. And then for decorations, you probably saw it in the thumbnail, but we'll get to the decoration after that part is done. Okay, so now that I've removed the little bit of wood filler that I've put in there, I've cut 4 small pieces of the dowel stick like this, which is the size of the hole. I'm going to put some glue, some wood glue, into each of the holes so that the wood or the dowel sticks can stick and glue and remain in the holes once you put them in there. And then from there on, very simple. This is not complicated at all. You simply take the dowel stick, you put it into the hole like that, and the easier way or the best probable way to do this or to insert them would probably be to either use a wooden mallet or a small little rubber hammer like this to help those dowels into the hole like this. You'll see as the dowel goes in, some of the glue comes out, and that's perfectly fine. That means it's a nice tight fit. And then a bit later on, when it's a bit more set, or when all of them are in, not necessarily set more, we'll just rub the glue all around the dowels. Nice. Now obviously the top parts of the pieces of dowel sticking out still will be cut off once the glue has dried in order to give it a nice smooth finish. And this would obviously then give a bit more of a natural finish to the wood if it's not going to be painted. If it's going to be painted, then it doesn't really matter whether you use the wood filler or the dowel stick, because the effect will be the same. But the dowel sticks do go in quite nicely. Alright, so now that this is done and I've cut the little dowels off and I've sanded it, it's nice and smooth. I've sanded the corners by hand and so on as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically stain this piece with some oil. Now, well, you can use any type of oil that you prefer. I'm using a teak oil and I'm going to apply it on all the sides of this piece. Now, except for oil, you can always use paint or a stain of some sort, anything that you wish really. There's no right or wrong really for this, depending on the finish that you prefer or the color that you prefer, depending on the different uses you can find for this piece. Now I'm basically only going to do all the sides and all the corners, not very hard. This is a very easy application and an easy project to do. Now, depending on the color or the deepness or the clarity or the darkness of the stain, depends on how many coats of stain or oil you put onto the piece. Now, obviously, you're going to put on the first layer. You're going to let it dry a bit, let it soak into the wood quite nicely, and then if you want it darker or you want the shade a bit different, you can apply another coat. Or just if the wood was very dry and very absorbent and it absorbs a lot of the oil, you can apply a second coat as well. I'm using this little sponge here. It's very simple. I'm only wetting with the oil and then simply rubbing it on the piece. Not complicated at all, like you can see here. So I'm only going to put on one layer or one coat of this oil. It's a teak oil, so it does show a little pink in the beginning, but once it dries out, it does lighten up a bit and it brings out the natural look of the wood very well, as you can see in a little while. So let's let this dry a bit, and then we will do a demonstration of the different purposes for this nice little stand. Okay, well, now that we've got this built, which is quite nice, it's stained, it's got the right color and everything that you want. Now you can stain it once again, paint it, whichever you prefer. Now I got this idea on an online forum, and I was amazed of how many people found so many uses for this little item. And it's just a nice to look at item. Now you might ask, what is the main purpose? So people can put this down. You can use it at your table or in your kitchen for your spices, your toothpick, something like that, that you can stack on it. You can put it on your cabinet or your dresser or somewhere for your vitamins if you want to. If you want to use it in your bathroom, you can put some hand soap or vanities of any sort on it, whichever you prefer. Presents it very nicely. You can use it in your kitchen or your little coffee nook for your coffee and your sugar, your tea, whichever you prefer, to keep it nicely together and present it well as well. And then perhaps, like I said, your medicine counter, you can take your different medicines, your prescriptions, whichever, and you can display it nicely on this. Now, there are so many uses. If you don't want to maybe store any of those things, you can even use it as a little display table for something nice. Nice example there of a little truck that you can display whatever you've got and whatever you enjoy. Now, obviously, this you can make in any size that you prefer, and whether it be bigger, whether it be smaller, whatever you need, you can make this thing the custom size that you need. Now, this is an extremely simple project, very, very popular. I was dumbstruck about the popularity of this little item. So you can sell this, you can give it to people as gifts. This is a very popular and well-loved item. So if you do like this idea and you do like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and also consider subscribing if you haven't done so yet. And if you do wish to support my channel, have a look at the thanks or the super thanks icon down below. Until next time, thank you very much, guys.